So, I mean, this one we did not plan on talking about this one, but I have to bring it up. It's our Bay Area or ex-Bay Area adjacent friends, the Las Vegas Raiders. They made some headlines today when they fired Josh McDaniels and their GM David Ziegler.
Ziegler. Yep.
Um, and they also demoted Jimmy G, which is probably the most notable thing for 49ers fans. They demoted Jimmy G to the bench, and now they're starting Aiden O'Connell. What are your initial takes, reactions to that to the dysfunctional Raiders?
Well, it's a great day for Josh McDaniels. I mean, he signed a 6-year contract in January of 2022 that has what 4.5 years left on it, and he's getting paid by the Raiders for 4.5 years to do nothing. I mean,
Is that true?
that's pretty good. You want to sit there and say, "Hey, Mark, nice haircut," or do you want to just be free to go wherever the hell you want to go? I mean, they're a tire fire. Um, I mean, it just shows how bad the Raiders are as an organization. I mean, they're 3-5. They went down this road with McDaniels and Ziegler. They brought these guys in from New England. Now Mark Davis fires them with over 4 full years left. The Raiders are obligated to pay them. Antonio Pierce becomes the interim head coach. The talk is that they're going to try to get Jim Harbaugh, and that they're going to try to attract Harbaugh by giving him not only the head coaching gig, but total control over the personnel. Harbaugh started his NFL career with the Raiders, so there is a relationship there. Um, I think Harbaugh is probably better than McDaniels and Ziegler. So it's like, in a way, Mark Davis is a fool, but if he can get Harbaugh, then he's probably made a good move. Because why would you want to go further down this road with McDaniels, who's getting nothing done, and Ziegler? I mean, I actually kind of liked their offseason. I kind of liked their draft, but they're not really getting those guys on the field very much. And as far as Jimmy goes, I mean, Jimmy is Jimmy. He's just totally, thoroughly mediocre quarterback. I think that he regressed a couple years ago. He's never gotten back to the level that he was at. Um, I just think that he doesn't make plays down the field. He doesn't make plays outside the numbers. He can't get the ball to Devontae Adams. I think Aiden O'Connell is probably a better player, even in the present. And I think they're smart to do what they're doing. I mean, as much as I don't like to tout Mark Davis as smart, if he can get Harbaugh and attract him by giving him total control, I think that's probably a good move on their part. So I would say, way to go Raiders in some ways. Even though today it's like it looks awful. The only reason Mark Davis can do this is because there's so much revenue in the NFL that you literally can make mistakes and pay guys off and not feel the loss because the revenue is so great. So that's where they're at. I mean, this is where the Niners were at with Chip Kelly and Jim Tom Sula. I mean, you know, Jed York paid for all those regimes to go away. And the reason he could do it is because there's just so over the revenue that comes to the owners in the NFL is just so unbelievably overwhelming. And that was before the gambling revenue. Now you throw in the gambling revenue, the MGM contract, and all the things that the NFL is going on. That's that front. And it just makes it easy to move on from mistakes. You're no longer really worried because you got this massive check being cut to you by the NFL. They're sapping off the general fund, and it allows you to kind of write checks to make your mistakes go away. So it's, in a way, it's what can I say? I mean, it's poor management on the Kings' part, but
The Raiders.
they've got more than are on the. I'm looking at the Kings Warriors on the Raiders' part, but it gives the Raiders an opportunity to turn the page and just start new, start fresh.
I mean,
So
yeah.
why not?
The worst thing about being a Raiders fan is that it's just an unending. It's just bad season after bad season. There's no end in sight. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. And every season where you think the light's at the end of the tunnel, it's like something else happens. And even just this season hasn't even been as bad as past seasons. But it's like you have the whole Chandler Jones thing. Mark Davis is flipping off fans, or he's getting flipped off by fans. Now this whole Jimmy G thing. It's it's not a good future outlook for the Raiders fans. And I mean, Aiden O'Connell, all 49ers fans know that he completely tore up the 49ers in that preseason game. I
Yeah,
forget
he
his
looked good.
exact statistics. He looked really great, but I don't know. Their draft. You said that you like their draft. I like Byron Young. He was pretty good. I don't.
Yeah, I like Byron
Michael
Young, and
Mayer's a good tight end prospect.
I actually picked him up yesterday because I kind of think that now O'Connell will start going to him.
Yeah, possibly. I know that Tyree Wilson's been kind of underwhelming,
Right.
right? And like that's another. I mean, they're just the king over there of drafting guys early in that early top 10 window and just having those guys flame out because they drafted Clelin Ferrell, who's now in the Niners, complete bust at 4, so or 3 or whatever he went at.
4, yeah. Thank you,
Yeah,
Mike Mayock.
yeah. So I mean, it's just a whole dysfunction over there. And what you said about Harbaugh, I actually think that actually might happen. I'm not super tapped in with college football, but I do listen to one podcast. It's Stuart Mandel and Bruce Feldman.
Yeah, I like
Those
guys. I
guys
know
kind of
Stewart.
cover. Yeah, they cover college football kind of as a whole, like from like 100 miles above. And they were talking about Harbaugh potentially going to the NFL a couple weeks ago. That whole scandal going on with Michigan. This is probably their year to win it, and I think they probably will. Their team is pretty talented, so he gets that national championship, maybe comes out of there, goes to the NFL, and gets the Super Bowl ring. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good move just because I just didn't believe in McDaniels. I think McDaniels is totally overrated. I mean, you could say that Belichick's a great coach, that Brady made him look better than he is, but McDaniels was made to look really good by Brady. And I look at McDaniels and I'm thinking, wow, what is it that you do? You're supposed to be an offensive coach. I don't see any creativity. I don't see any real execution. Um, I just think he's just a guy who's on the coattails of Brady and Belichick.
my question to you would be, what's your opinion on Jimmy G now? Because obviously with the Niners, Jimmy G was a super efficient quarterback, and then with the Raiders, he was the exact opposite. I think he's probably somewhere in the middle. I still think he's probably a decent quarterback. He's been playing like a bottom 5 quarterback, but I would probably take him over the other bottom 5 quarterbacks.
I think he's a broken quarterback. I think he's a quarterback that doesn't feel comfortable throwing it outside the numbers or down the field. I think he's kind of been found out, and I just think that he's never going to be as good as he was in San Francisco because he doesn't throw the ball down the field with any accuracy. He sprays it, and you know, I I just think that his accuracy is lacking, and I don't think he throws with anticipation. He's not a good late in the down thrower, so he doesn't create with his legs. He freezes in the pocket. Um, I think he's a below average NFL quarterback, and I think the Niners were right to move on from him.